Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. So we had the union budget this week, and after the budget, expert after expert said budget's all very well. What's really critical is what happens in the budget session of Parliament with some of the pending bills. And you know what? The experts are right, because if all the bills that are pending in this session of Parliament actually go through, this session of Parliament will end up being perhaps the most dramatic and the most crucial session ever in history. Now, all those bills are not going to go through, but you should take a look at some of the bills that are there. They are all really, really very important. Here's just a look at some of those bills. Well, of course, I guess the man of the week, if you like, was the Finance Minister, Mr. P. Chidambaram. So I got a chance to speak to him a little earlier today. This is what he had to say on all of this. The budget session of Parliament, and we were alluding to this at the very start, has got some of the most crucial bills, I think, pending before it. If all of those bills go through, if even half of those bills go through, then from a legislative point of view, this could be one of the most crucial sessions that we've ever had. How optimistic are you that that legislative process will be able to go ahead smoothly?
Well, last session we passed two crucial Ministry of Finance bill, the Banking Laws Amendment Bill and the Surface Bill. I had met with the leaders of opposition, so we had a good meeting. We agreed on what should be done and we passed the two bills. So we agreed to continue to talk to each other in the run up to this session. We have held meetings on two bills, the insurance bill and the pension bill. I've spoken to the chairman of the standing committee also. Another meeting is scheduled sometime next week, and I think these two bills will come to Parliament, and I'm confident that we'll pass these two bills. But there are equally important non-financial bills. They have to be passed too. I can only ask for so much time, although this is called the budget session. Right. I can only ask for so much time for my bills. I'll be happy if we can pass the insurance bill and the pension bill.
But in your budget speech, you also did allude to some of the other really crucial bills that perhaps are coming up. Food security bill, you've even made a provision for it. The land acquisition bill is coming up. You've got Lokpal. You've got a number of other bills, which some of which you're right have financial impact, some don't. Are you getting a lot of that through will really push the UPA's agenda forward, but you do need the opposition to cooperate?
Well, we are confident that the food security bill will pass. We are also confident that the land acquisition bill will pass. We want the Lokpal bill passed because we have accommodated the concerns of some of our allies and some of our critics. And we have now made the Lok Ayukt not a mandatory part of this bill, just as a model bill which the states can enact. So Lokpal should also pass. Then there is the Judicial Accountability Bill. There are a couple of bills there which we think should pass. And all these, my sense is, there is a broad consensus. And my sense is that these 5 or 6 crucial bills will pass in this session.
Sometimes, of course, getting a perfect consensus is impossible. So sometimes I guess you're going to have to convince parties, look, maybe it's not the perfect bill, but we've tried to do whatever we can to accommodate as many concerns. Some bills are always held up for the search for perfect consensus, like the Women's Reservation Bill, which I noticed is there again.
We should not look for a perfect consensus, because bills can always be amended. In fact, that is the legislative process. You pass a bill and you find in the application of the bill, the implementation, there are problems, you come back and amend it. And I think on that basis, we should be able to get the bills that I mentioned passed in this session.
And today on The Big Fight, we are privileged to have some of the people who are behind those bills, those really critical bills, and others who have, well, levels of dissension and objections to them. So let's see how many of those bills are actually going to come through. It first gives me great pleasure to welcome here in the Big Fight studio after a very long time, which I intend to complain about at great length, Sachin Pilot, Minister of State for Corporate Affairs, who of course has the Companies Bill, which is through in the Lok Sabha, but still to go through the Rajya Sabha. And your government, of course, has also got this entire legislative agenda. We'll be asking you how many you think you can get through. Harsh Mander, it's great to have you with us because you have done a lot of work on two of those really critical bills, the Food Security Bill and the Land Acquisition Bill. I'm not sure that we can call them both your baby, but, you know,
not in the form that they are today.
But okay, getting there. Joining us from Ahmedabad, Devang Nanavati, BJP leader from Gujarat. The support of your party, Devang, is going to be crucial in getting at least some of these bills through. Here in our Delhi studio, we also have with us Mihir Sharma, Associate Editor of the Business Standard, who's been following many of these bills really closely. Smita Gupta, economist at the JNU, has strong views on some of the bills, and we'll ask you about that.
Yes.
And Shazia Ilmi, the person whose pet key bill, the Lokpal Bill, is there in Parliament, not necessarily in the form that you wanted it to be, but it's there. But there are two other bills there which you should be very happy about: whistleblower bills, grievance redressal bill.
So we wanted it to be part of Lokpal Bill, but it's another bill. But
so there are three bills that are potentially out there which could change things, and of course then you have others. Sachin, if I could just start with you. It's a packed agenda. If the government is actually able to get even half of these things through, then do you think the message that the government's been trying to say, we mean business, you will have gone a long way if you can get some of these things done? These are really crucial bills, aren't they?
Most certainly, Vikram, and I think one must understand that the bills, when they're actually placed in Parliament, there's a long journey that these bills actually travel before they get made, formulated, vetted. So many inputs come in from all stakeholders, and then the drafting of it, the fine-tuning of it, it goes to the cabinet, gets approved, and then it finally comes to Parliament, where a debate follows. And then, you know, hopefully most of these bills, like you mentioned, should get through. But the fact remains that we have got to start thinking that this Parliament that we have all voted for our members to be in, that's the job of Parliament. The job of Parliament is to debate issues, to make legislation, to create regulation, to make laws. And I think some of these bills that you mentioned are quite frankly, I think, historic bills, because in the last 6.5 decades, you would not have seen the kind of paradigm shift in lawmaking with the prism of those bills that you'll see coming out and affecting almost every single citizen. So these are very, very important bills. And I'm happy that when Parliament sits, no matter what people may perceive it to be, it's noisy, it's acrimonious, it gets adjourned time and again. But when Parliament decides to function with, with a responsive opposition, we can get things done. And that's what I hope we can do in this budget session.